Okay then, welcome back to another video on my channel. Today we're looking back at another riff that I don't feature very often. This is my Specna Arms AEG. Now, this is a Gen 1 Specna Arms Edge, which means it doesn't come with a lot of the plush things on the Edge 2s and the Prime series, including MOSFET, for example, because most of the new ones have Asters in them. This one just has like a kind of a protector built in, so you won't burn it out as easy. But there's no end kind of like pre-cocking and awesome stuff like that, or for example, if you spam semi, we'll jam it and lock it up. So I've not really played much with this gun, but I have stuck random upgrades on it over the kind of last kind of 2 years, year to 2 years. The reason why I've stuck a bunch of upgrades on it over time is just whenever I have spare stuff or whenever there's something laying around, I kind of tend to whack it on this. So we've done like putting a ambidextrous mag release on it. We messed around with a bunch of different things inside. I've already changed, for example, the barrel and the bucking on the inside of this too. So what we're doing today is we're going to be taking the outer barrel off and replacing it with this. This is actually the carbon fibre outer barrel that was on the Article 1 that I got. And the reason why I'm sticking this on this is just because I'm being silly, because the Article 1's original barrel is in this, the Article 1's original bits and bobs are all in this for the hop unit and stuff. And it all works quite nicely, and I'm thinking about popping in a MOSFET and finally being brave enough to take apart an AEG gearbox, because at this point I don't use this gun, so if I break it, oh well. So let's get started. First of all, you are going to need kind of a standard toolkit for working on any kind of AGs, rifles, stuff like that. You will hear the parrot in the background, and I do apologise in advance for Minty having a beep and a cheep every so often. He's back home now, so he's just part of the team. So first things first, you want to loosen up on your hand guard, you want to loosen up the bolts that you have, the screws that you have in there. Once you've done that, I've already pre-loosened this to make the video a lot easier to show you. You should be able to just wiggle it off. If you do have an issue getting your handguard off after loosening everything up, one thing I would recommend always is don't use anything metal. If you've got rubber mallets, things like that, that's a good thing to do. Once you've taken off the handguard, stick this to one side, you won't need this anymore. This is actually going to be kept as a spare because I like this handguard, so this will be going on another build in the future. And also as well because this is all changeable. That's the bonus of airsoft, we can put it on and off as we wish. Second thing, you want to do barrel nut. This is something that I had great difficulty with. I sliced up my hand and my arm trying to get this barrel nut off. Apparently, in some cases they're over tightened, so they're tightened over spec. And in some cases people have said that they've even had thread lock or some kind of glue on the threads. Some people recommend heating it up over a stove or like a kind of a heat gun if you've got something like that. I'd be very careful because obviously you have got plastic components inside of this gun, so you just want to be careful you don't melt anything important. Luckily for me, I just brute forced it. I actually stuck the handguard on, but below these notches, so these notches keep the handguard aligned, as you can see by the marks there. If you move it slightly forward so it's kind of sat here on the gun, and then stick a large metal bar inside of the hand grip and then twist it as hard as you can, what will happen is it'll eventually go clonk, give way, you'll slip, and then you cut your arm on the side of the gun. So that's what I did this morning. So next thing, you do want to unscrew the barrel nut. Like I said, this is all pre-loose and I made this easier, but you guys may have a hard time at home, especially with Specna Arms stuff. I don't know why. It's just they are particularly tight. Once you've done that, you then take your outer barrel off. This will just slide off quite nicely. Now you will notice that the spec for the outer barrel of AEGs can be different company to company, and then what I've also found is that they're different compared to, say, something along the lines of the this is the part that goes with the outer barrel for the MTW. This does not fit in there. Okay, now what this means is that with the changes I'm making, while the pressure and pressure from this being screwed on will hold the barrel in place and maintain accuracy, it will also hold kind of most of the components where they should be. The only downside to this little modification I found so far of sticking this on is that the hop unit, I'll show you in a minute, does free move inside of the gun a little bit. Now this won't matter because when you have a magazine plugged in, because it's an AEG, I'll get you one of the magazines now if I've got one banging about in this room still. No, it is wandered off. The magazine will push against the hop unit and hold everything in place. So unless you're really hitting the gun on things, causing slight shifts in the internal components, which I can show you when it's all together in a minute, you're not going to have issues with this modification, at least not what I've found so far. I have fired this a bunch in the house, although I say I don't do that. I don't fire things in the house, but I have taken this into the other room and kind of fired it into a pile of towels just to make sure it cycles properly and kind of everything works okay. But I've yet to take this to a range or a field day just to actually make sure everything runs as it should. But as of the moment, everything seems to be okay with this kind of, well, it's not an upgrade, this cosmetic change, should I say. So like I said, you won't need this metal part for if you're using, like I said, for this I'm using a Article 1 outer barrel. If you buy a specific carbon fibre barrel that matches the original specs, it will all hold it in place, but it depends on what you're replacing it with. If you're like me and you've got a box of spare parts, then that's what I'm using. But if you actually want to go out your way to buy a carbon fibre outer barrel, there's lots of vendors that sell ones for AEGs. I think eBog Designs rings a bell. I know they do ones for the MTW. But this slides on the end here, and this is what holds everything kind of in place, because the bonus and the beauty of this outer barrel is both the base and the tip of this outer barrel fit to the little barrel I already have in here, because this is the barrel from the original Article 1 barrel. And the bonus is that when everything's tightened down, number one, fits like a glove. You do have a tiny gap at the top of it, kind of from the receiver here. But if I can show you here, there you go. For focus, let me just this holds everything in place. You can see how perfectly snug that inner barrel is there, so everything's going to be firing straight, no problem at all. So you're not going to have issues there, and then everything down the bottom holds in place. So if I push on the outer barrel, you can see it's not going anywhere. I can't wiggle it, I can't push it down or up. It's all locked in place, which is good. That's what we want. Let's go move this bit forwards again. You just saw a lovely view of my legs there. You can enjoy that. Okay, so what I'll do is I want to show you what happens inside then and why I said there's a little bit of an issue with this build. So you can now see that the hop unit is slightly offset to one side, and if I actually just push on it, I can now offset it to the other side. That's the only downside of this, that there's no metal pieces holding it in place. So if I move it now to the middle like so, and then stick a magazine in. Now this gun will not work with EPM 1s. Or EPM 1Ss. I don't know why Specna Arms just doesn't like them, but I can still plug one into the gun. What will happen now is that with this in place, it does actually look pretty nice, even though I know it doesn't work. Now with this in place, the hop unit and all of the parts will stay in one place and it won't be able to rotate anymore. So at the beginning of your game day, as long as you make sure your hop unit's fine, and again during a match you can just stick a finger in there and just be like, right, move it to the middle, everything will hold in place absolutely fine. You can kind of go from there. I am thinking of a long-term solution, so one of the things I do want to have done, Minty, my little man, would you like to be on camera if this is what you want? No, you're just being upset. What I do want to try and do is figure out a permanent fix to this, maybe by sticking stuff down either side of the hop unit, but then the issue is that the dust catch opening to adjust the hop unit is going to throw whatever I stick in there out. So I think the other solution is something towards the front end, as kind of a solid piece of plastic that when I screw everything in, it kind of holds everything together. So I might do that mod in the future, but right now I don't see any reason to. This Specna Arms AEGs had to have the fix that I showed online in a previous video, where I've had to stick a rubber O-ring behind the hop unit and the nozzle to help feed BBs better, and then also to help retain mags properly so they're not wiggling and misfeeding. So this gun fires like a dream now, and thankfully I've not had that much of an FPS drop. The main thing that's been an issue for this upgrade, by the looks of things, is that the FPS is going to be a little bit lower compared to everything else because of a much shorter barrel than what it was shipped with. So this is kind of like a 3.5-inch barrel, and the one that it's shipped with, I think, is a 7 or 8. Oh no, it's an 8-inch in a barrel. So all around about that. So obviously there's a big difference in sizing here, but I'm going to try and take this to a range at some point soon and get some actual kind of chronograph run over it. Either that or my next game day I'll take it with me and just have it chronoed, even though I may not field it without the new MOSFET unit in there. If the FPS is shocking and the performance stays rubbish with this, I probably will just keep on slapping spare parts on it as and when I get them, but I don't intend to field it until it gets to something resembling a half-decent skirmishable gun. So, again, it's not a bad gun. If you were playing kind of airsoft, more in kind of less in high-paced CQB sessions, and you're playing more in the average field and woodland games with the original barrel and handguard on it, you'd be doing fine. That's what I originally got this for. Is one of the first sites I went to was Mad Dog Airsoft, and the bonus was you could go and enjoy yourself there because it was full auto. Pretty much everybody was only exclusively using full auto, and it's all kind of long range engagements, and this was quite fun because you just whacked it in full auto, held down the trigger and just sprayed and parried. Whereas now where I'm playing semi-auto, where this thing locks up in an environment where the person who shoots first wins an encounter, this is just too slow at the moment. So I think we should make some improvements as we go forward. But there you go. That's how you kind of change your outer barrel to a carbon fibre one. So if any of you guys have got the same situation as me, where you've replaced your outer barrel on your Article 1, stuff like that, you can do this. If not, like I said, you can. This is just the regular recipe for outer barrel swap anyway. It's just I put a carbon fibre one on here from a weird and wonderful gun. Anyways, hopefully the parrot was not too noisy this time round. Okay, because he's deciding he's having a bad morning. But thank you, Minty. What I'll do is I'll leave you guys there. If you've got any questions, please feel free to pop them in the comment section. If not, have a lovely day.